Shalom everybody, hope you're doing well. We're getting ready for another Shabbat in the world. And while each week we try to enter into Shabbat with much joy and celebration, and hopefully we'll find a way this week as well, we also have a sense of heavy-heartedness in the wake of the devastating tragedy, the shooting that took place in Charleston, South Carolina this week, against members of the historic church and the African American community there. And we search for answers to our questions, trying to understand why, trying to find explanations for the evil, the darkness that's in our world. We know there's much beauty and light in the world around us, but we are very, very aware of the darkness and what seems to be the growing darkness of our world. And we're left often confused and without any answers. And with our questions beginning with why, left unanswered. I want to share one thought, one idea that doesn't give an answer, but maybe helps us to understand even a little bit more. In the Jewish tradition, every month in the Hebrew calendar, according to the Jewish mystical tradition, every month in the Hebrew calendar is linked up with a permutation of the holy four-letter name of God. There's many names of God. There's one name that's holier than all others. That's the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. There's many teachings and insights and depths to that name. But one idea is that because there's 4 letters and 2 of them are the same, so there's actually 12 different unique permutations that you can get from this 4-letter holy name of God. And there's 12 months in the Jewish calendar. And each month is associated, is linked with one of these permutations. This month that we just started, the month of Tammuz, has the permutation of Hey, Vav, Hey, and Yud. And if you notice, it's the name of God spelled backwards. It's the mirror image of God's name. And in that, I think, is something very, very crucial for all of us to know and to learn. I think it's an amazing thing that you look in the holiest text of the Jewish people, and really most people in this world, the Torah, the Bible, and you see within the opening lines, within just a few short lines of the Torah, you see already the divine message that human beings were created in the divine image of God. There's not yet Jews or Christians or Muslims, right? No mention of any distinctions, just human beings, children of God. And we're taught, it's made very, very clear that all human beings are made in the image of God, in the divine image of God. It's a basic and fundamental teaching for the Jewish people, for the Jewish tradition, and for all peoples. It's the most universal aspect of Judaism, of the Torah, that I can personally think of. Recently in the Torah, last week, we're learning about the sin of the spies. Spies were sent, once again, 12 by Moshe, by Moses, to go into the land of Israel before the whole nation entered in, just to check it out, to see what it's like, to bring back a report to the people. And 10 of the 12 came back with a devastating report. A report that scared the nation. It said, it's scary, the people are scary, the cities are built up really strongly, we'll never be able to enter in there. That report caused the entire generation of Jews to weep, to cry, to get scared, and to lose their faith in God. That report was based on a mistake of perception. The spies who went in there, those 10, saw the land physically, but they didn't understand what they were seeing. They perceived it in the wrong way. They didn't see it in its actuality, in its true state. And from there came the mistake that changed Jewish history. Added 40 years, almost 40 years to the journey of the Jewish people before they were allowed to enter into the land of Israel. It was based on their perception. This week's Torah portion, Korach, we're learning about a man named Korach who, along with others, rises up against the leadership of Aaron, Moshe and Aaron, his brother, and say, hey, we're all holy. Why can't we also be like you? Why are you guys taking all the most important positions of leadership? As if Moshe and Aaron took it for themselves, as if they chose themselves, as if they selected themselves, and as if it wasn't from God. Again, a perception problem, a problem of perception. They looked at Moshe and Aaron, they looked at themselves, they looked at their titles, their resume, so to speak. They said, no, I'm not good enough, I want to be like them. Why do they get to be like that? And it was the way that they were viewing the world. The way that they were viewing the world was the problem. Instead of saying each person in his or her own place, in the right place, fulfilling their mission, their purpose in the world. Korach wanted to fulfill somebody else's mission and purpose. Again, going back to this problem of perception. How does this all link to the tragedy that took place this week in Charleston, South Carolina? The evil man who entered into that church and sat amongst the worshippers for almost an hour, sat next to the minister whose life he shortly after took, couldn't understand, he couldn't perceive the truth of all those people around him. He couldn't understand that all people are created in the divine image, that God created all the people of this earth. And from that sense of false perception, that place of false perception, that place of not perceiving the divine that's present in every single person on this planet, he was able to take out a gun and kill those who he thought were too different than him and not worthy of living. If we could only finally, thousands of years later, after that first directive, that first message was given to all of humanity, not just the Jewish people, but all of humanity, we still haven't learned the lesson. We still haven't really understood that is truth. That all people, all kinds of, all nations, are all made in the image of a God. We might have our disputes and our differences, and we do have many of those. But our problem, the problem not of only our generation, but of all generations before us, is a problem of respect and a problem of seeing the beauty and the divinity in all human beings. When we'll learn, that's the golden question. When we'll finally understand that even those who are not like us and even disagree with us are still worthy of life, still worthy of love, still worthy of respect. I don't know when we as a human race will learn that. Of course, like many others in this world, I hope we'll learn it soon. But maybe from this month of Tammuz, from these recent Torah portions, we could grasp, we can gain another level, another understanding of the importance of having this correct perception and understanding what happens, what tragically takes place when we don't perceive the world with these kinds of eyes. It all comes back to our eyes. The sin of the spies was a problem with their eyes. The sin of Korach was a problem with his eyes. This month, in addition to what we said before about the permutation of God's name, every month has a fixing, something that we're supposed to focus on and fix. This month is the fixing of our eyes, not surprisingly. This is the thing that we're supposed to focus on and try to improve. How do we use our eyes for holiness? How do we use our eyes the way God would want us to use our eyes? How do we perceive other people? How do we perceive reality? How do we perceive the world around us? Please, God, we should all learn, me, you, all of us together, how to see the goodness in all, how to see the goodness in the world and add to that goodness. Ours is a generation of great darkness, yes. ISIS and many other evil groups and individuals who are wreaking havoc in this world. But we know, those of us who are committed to goodness and to improving the world, even with our own faults and our moments of darkness, and we all have them, may we continue to do the work and to spread the light, inspire others, inspire ourselves, let others inspire ourselves. And to please God, B'ezrat Hashem, see the final learning, the final lesson of all of the generations of humanity, finally understanding how each and every single one of us is created in the divine image. The Shabbat, like all Shabbatot, like all Shabbases, we're given a moment in time, a moment in the week to look back, to reflect, to perceive, to have the eyes of Shabbat, like Reb Shlomo Carlebach would often say, Shabbos eyes, to look at the world with Shabbos eyes, the eyes of Shabbat. May we gain those eyes this Shabbat, and when Shabbat is over, may we not lose them. May we go into the next week and the week after that and the week after that with these eyes that see the true reality all around us. Please God, in our generation, in our days, we'll see the final fixing, the final learning. And we'll see finally all nations coming together and understanding as one, that there's only one, and we all come from that one. Many blessings and love from the land of Israel. Shabbat Shalom.